Sports Podcast. Today we're going to be talking about
the World Series. The Fall Classic begins tonight.
Please like and subscribe, and I'm going to give this podcast to my brother. And have a happy Halloween.
So, throughout the annals of the World Series, the Los Angeles Dodgers and the Boston Red Sox are meeting the World Series for the first time since 1916, when the Dodgers were known as the Robins, and the team was still in Brooklyn. And the Boston Red Sox had a popular pitcher named Babe Ruth on the mound. And the World Series home games were not even played at Fenway back then. So it's pretty surprising, considering how much history and success the two teams have had, that 2018 will mark the first modern Los Angeles Dodgers versus Boston Red Sox World Series. Both managers are going to use their aces in Game 1, Chris Sale for the Red Sox and Clayton Kershaw for the Dodgers. Dave Roberts, as a manager of the Dodgers, is forever known to Red Sox Nation for stealing second base in the 2004 Game 4 of the American League Championship Series, which led Boston to the epic comeback down 3-0 to win 4 straight games against the New York Yankees. And the Boston Red Sox, they won 108 games, a franchise high in the regular season. So the Dallas Cowboys are waving the white flag on the wide receiver by committee concept, as the Jerry Jones has actually made what I think will be a very good trade for the Dallas Cowboys, trading a first-round pick to the Oakland Raiders for wide receiver Amari Cooper, one of the best young wideouts in the league. Amari Cooper instantly becomes the number one wide receiver in the Dallas offense and instantly will help out Dak Prescott. Dak has struggled so far this season, I think, with the lack of a number one wide receiver, which ironically Jerry Jones this season was saying we don't need a number one wide receiver, and the Cowboys, quote, have not had a number one wide receiver for years. Whether or not that's a reference to Terrell Owens or not, you can make your own decision on that. Do I think it's a reference to Terrell Owens? Terrell Owens would love for that to be about him. It probably is about him, but the Cowboys haven't had a truly great wide receiver since Michael Irvin, if you ask me. But Amari Cooper, he's got a lot of talent, and he's going to help Dak out. He's going to help the offense out. He's a little bit prone to dropping the ball sometimes, but I think the Raiders, they now have everybody is sleeping on the Oakland Raiders. The Raiders now have 3 first-round picks next year. They have their first-round pick, which they would have gotten anyway for next year. The second first-round pick they got from the trade of Khalil Mack to the Bears, and now another first-round pick coming in now with the trade of Amari Cooper to Dallas. And I actually like this trade for Dallas more than I like a trade for Earl Thomas, which those of you who've been listening to the podcast for a while have said a second-round pick for Earl Thomas, I would have made that trade. And I still would have made that trade even in spite of his season-ending injury. I still think a player of that caliber on defense, if you can get him for just a draft pick, you go out and you do it. If you can get a wide receiver of the talent of Amari Cooper for just a draft pick, I think you go ahead and you do so. So it's a good move for the Cowboys. It's a good move for Oakland as well. A good trade that actually benefits both teams. Does not happen enough in the NFL. Does not happen enough in professional sports. Good move for the Dallas Cowboys. And people are sleeping, but the Oakland Raiders are quietly getting in position to rebuild under John Gruden. We'll see how many of those 10 years he stays in Oakland. Here are my predictions for Week 8 of the NFL season. Thursday night game, I'm picking the Texans over the Dolphins. picking Philadelphia to beat Jacksonville. I'm picking Kansas City to beat Denver. I'm picking Pittsburgh over Cleveland. Picking Washington over the Giants. Picking the Lions over the Seattle Seahawks. Picking Cincinnati to beat Tampa Bay. Picking the Bears to beat the Jets. Picking Carolina over Baltimore. Picking the Colts over the Raiders. Picking Arizona over San Francisco. Picking the Rams over the Packers. Picking the New England Patriots over Buffalo. And the Sunday night game, I'm picking the Saints over the Vikings. 28-24 is my score prediction for that game. And there you have it. My predictions for week number, I can't believe it, we're already halfway through the NFL season. So in the Cowboys-Redskins game last night, I think the biggest takeaway from this game, was the head coaching of Jason Garrett. Now, the Cowboys were losing 20-10 after Dak Prescott fumbled in the end zone. It was recovered by a Washington player for a touchdown, so they were down by 10 points late in the fourth quarter. And they got the touchdown late in the game. They were driving. Instead of driving for the win, Jason Garrett had them play for the tie. A penalty on the long snapper of the Cowboys moved the field goal back 10 more yards, and kicking it hit the field goal by Brett Maher, bounced off the left upright, no good. And with that, the Cowboys' hopes of possibly winning the division are no good as well. A time when the Cowboys should have been playing for the win, a time where they should have tried to move the ball down the field, a time where you should have tried to be aggressive, and once again, just like punting in overtime, Jason Garrett not aggressive, not having the fourth quarter instinct to close out the game, and it may have cost the Dallas Cowboys dearly in a division they desperately need to win to stay relevant in the NFC East. But Adrian Peterson, I saw his stat line for the game, finishing with 99 yards rushing on the day. And I'm sure the fantasy owners who had Adrian in their fantasy team, I'm sure they were probably wishing he could have got one more yard, although he still had a good night on the ground. And it's amazing how he seems to have not missed a step now that he is in Washington. So, good win for the Redskins, terrible loss for the Dallas Cowboys, and it may have cost them dearly.
Thanks for listening to the Power Zone Sports Podcast. Please like and subscribe. That would help the channel a lot, and I will see you later. Bye.